Tick-Tock Clock is Mario 64 at its absolute worst.
Let's go!
But what exactly does that mean? Well, nearly every design choice in the level is completely at odds with everything that makes most of this game so much fun. As we know, Mario 64 took a new approach for the series. Rather than having over 100 unique linear stages, players explore 15 levels with 7 stars to collect in each. There's a cool design trick that Nintendo uses for most of these stages, where the first star naturally takes the player through the entire level to help players learn the layouts quickly. This is why so many levels take place on a mountain, because if the first thing a player does is climb it, they'll get to see most of what this new place has to offer. The same is true for other levels, like Shifting Sandland and Big Boo's Haunt, with more unique first objectives that help players to get their bearings in the new areas. It's a lot like how the first Half-Life has its players go through the Anomalous Materials chapter before everything goes to hell, but done in nearly every level in the game, and Mario doesn't have monsters made out of the twisted, barely alive flesh of your former friends. Even if it should. And the thing is, on repeat playthroughs or just with a bit of observation, you don't even need to finish this first objective. There is not a single level in the game that forces players to specifically get the first star before allowing them to do a different star. Even if some stars are locked behind other stars, there will always be multiple stars that you can get before getting a single star in the level. Stars. And then on top of that, almost every level places the stars in a way that won't require you to essentially beat an entire previous challenge to go further on. Imagine if after beating the Bomb King, the next level took you through the exact same path, forced you to fight the Bomb King again, and only then you're allowed to go up a bunch of platforms to another area that is, again, only accessible through that first star's objective. And imagine if this new challenge was as long and difficult as the whole Bomb King star to begin with. It would be absolutely miserable to have to compound the challenges and just do the same thing over and over for every single star, just adding the challenges on top of each other for no real reason based only on the fact that the developers weren't creative enough to find some kind of branching path solution. It's the kind of thing that some purposely difficult ROM hacks will do to piss you off. The non-linear, exploratory nature of Mario 64 is key to its success. The choices it gives you, the ability to play the game in whatever order you choose is pretty much the entire foundation of the 3D collectathon genre. The other major part of Mario 64 is the control. I'll be the first to say that Mario's movement is not the tightest, most precise system in a game, but that's fine. It almost never asks you to do precise platforming, and it succeeds in feeling natural and weighty, with a large variety of moves you can do. The addition of more inputs allowed for more moves with different combinations. Things like kicks and long jumps and dives and triple jumps, and this one move that's almost always useless but really helps out like twice in the game. I think 64's moveset is the best in the series, because unlike Odyssey and Galaxy, there isn't just one move that you can do to win in every situation. You have to find the right move to overcome each obstacle, and it becomes rewarding to figure it out and use all the moves with each other to go faster and faster. Makes you feel good, makes you feel like
Yahoo!
it's just so satisfying and perfect for the game it's in. Then there's the camera controls, which do have their problems. If given a choice, I'll usually play with an analog camera, but they get the job done and work well in most of the levels because they're built with its quirks in mind. The open-air nature of most of 64 means the camera can still do well, even if it struggles a bit on some of the interiors. The biggest cause of problems with the camera is that it won't go out of bounds whenever possible, so that can lead to a lack of adjustment. But I know what you're thinking. You spent a few minutes now just talking about the game. I know all this shit. I've played it. That's why I clicked on the video. What does this have to do with Tick-Tock Clock? Well, let's see how this level is structured. Whereas most levels in 64 follow a line like this, where you'll reach a certain point and then get to branch off to different directions for the different stars, Tick-Tock Clock is built differently. You progress through the level to a certain point, then you get a star and you're booted back to the castle. Now, sometimes you can take a different path to get to the same spot, like this bit at the start, as long as you're a fucking master or you went into the level at 12. And by the way, can we just mention how asinine that mechanic is? Going in at different hours changes how the level works. At 3, everything moves normally, at 6 it's all random, at 9 it moves fast, and at 12 everything is stopped. If you don't know this beforehand, it feels random. Maybe there's some text in the game to tell you how it works, probably this Toad here, but I promise you, any kid playing this would just get mad instead of trying to figure things out. So the thing is, this stage is extremely linear. What's the issue there? It makes it extremely repetitive. Every single star has you take basically the same path until a certain point where it gives a small detour. Or in the case of these two, it's actually possible to get them both by literally just going to the same place and jumping down for one of them. This linearity means that if you die at any point, you're going to come back in and do the same thing again and again and again. It's comparable to another part of the game that can be a little bad at times, the 100 coin star. See, the real issue with the 100 coin star is that it forces you to beat an entire other stars challenge while also making you run around the map even more just to get it. That's why a lot of people do it at the same time as the red coin star. In Tock's case, I like to get the 100 coins along with Stomp on Thwomp because they both take you all the way to the top of the map. But Tock also forces you to climb up to a point in the map for all of the stars. Stomp on Thwomp is just the same path as nearly every other star in the level with more added onto it. Remember that Bomb King but it opens up another challenge for no damn reason analogy? That's literally what Tock will force you to do constantly, minus the boss fight. Honestly, the only mercy they really grant you here is that the red coins are early on in the level, so you can do that on its own without having to go through the entire level, but I have to take away any points for that because you can only do the red coins if you know this stupid ass trick that still messes me up even though I know how to do it. And that's just the first layer of bullshit this level puts you through. There's more. Remember how Mario's controls aren't that tight but it's not really a problem? You can throw that right out the window because navigating this level is not only long and tedious but absolutely miserable. There's only one obstacle in the entire level and it's this massive pit at the bottom that instantly kills you for almost any mistake. Mario 64 is not a precise platformer. Up to this point, there isn't a single level outside of the Bowser stage that will punish every missed jump with a full retry. And this late in the game, that actually wouldn't be too bad if the level weren't doing its best to throw you off the side. Platform spinning this way, platform spinning that way, big swinging cocks that distract you with their sheer obscenity. They put one of these things in because they hate you, there's these amps that'll stun you and mess everything up, a bunch of conveyor belts, sometimes it even goes full wipeout and straight up shoves you to your death. Oh, and the gaps. Don't even get me started on the gaps. And again, if the timing weren't inconsistent because of these different modes, it might not be a problem. You can just not deal with any of this by turning off the movement entirely, but that also locks you out of some of the stars. And I mean, you're over here and Mario's just not built for this. He can't handle it. I can barely get him to deal with this bit in the first third of the game, and you want me to do this? Even when you do get the hang of it and learn the stage, you never get to do anything fun. You'll be walking and double jumping the entire time. Trying anything more can get you higher up early on, but it's just as likely to kill you. It feels almost intentionally strict and boring. And then there's the camera. Honestly, I'm not sure I'd even be making this video if it weren't for how terribly this specific level is affected by the camera. It just will not cooperate, it's an absolute pain. The Lakitu camera is just incapable of getting behind Mario. Do you know how important it is for a 3D platformer's camera to be able to center behind the character easily? Especially in such an unforgiving level? Well, that's half the damn camera down the drain, but hey, at least we have Mario Cam, right? If you like your camera too fucking close or at an unusable angle, then sure. I mean, it's fantastic if you take a minute to wait between every jump, but why do I have to do that? The Mario Cam isn't meant for full levels, that's what the fucking Lakitu camera's for. So all of these awful decisions and limitations come together to form, by far, the worst level in Mario 64. One where you have to do everything over and over again, with an unintuitive mechanic necessary for certain stars tacked on outside the level, with a major difficulty spike forcing players to deal with tiny platforms without a single mistake, while the entire level fights tooth and nail to get you off of it, moving as slowly and carefully as you can while maintaining your sanity, and the entire time you can barely even see what you're doing. Such an absolute fucking mistake. But I mean, I don't like to end a video on a negative note. What could the designers have done differently to fix the level? First of all, no massive walls on every side. Just have it floating in space with some gears off in the distance or something, and a few sections with stationary vertical structures for wall kicks and stuff. Next, structure it more closely to the rest of the game. I think you could get away with a Lethal Lava Land or Rainbow Ride sort of approach, ideally with less weighting than the latter, and maintain the pit at the bottom to make it more challenging. If you want to lean into the theme, there could be a star at the end of each cardinal direction, representing 12, 3, 6, and 9 on a clock face. Then it could keep something more like Stomp on Thwomp as a climb to the top from the middle, and maybe just tack on another area for the red coins or something like most of these levels do. The main goal here is really to just respect the player's time and not force them to do the same thing over and over. Hell, it doesn't even really have to lean into the exploration stuff because it's one of the last courses in the game. The bottom line is that it should try to take advantage of Mario's moveset and platforming abilities while incorporating the theme of the level in some way, and that's really it. There's nowhere to go but up. And you know what? Even with what we've got, there is one small thing that Tock benefits from in Mario 64's design. You don't even have to go near it to beat the game! Yeah, I'm no good at endings. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what you thought of this video in the comments or on my Discord server linked below. Join me next time for probably another video about a video game.